I'm back at Godrevy and Gwithian, and it's midsummer. So far summer hasn't been very warm or very sunny. There seems to be a huge amount of wild carrot around at the moment. And there you can see the lighthouse. Lots of insects on the wild carrot. Bees and other things. One of the main differences here between summer and winter is that in the summer it's very busy with visitors. The car parks are full, the beaches are packed. It's quite early in the day at the moment and the sun isn't really out yet, but there are already quite a lot of people here. To show you this one. Hermit moth, I think. Quite a few of those at the moment. Lots of mallow. I love printing with mallow leaves. They're slightly furry and they give a really fabric-like texture when I print them. The folds are particularly gorgeous. You might be able to hear a skylark, and hopefully you can see the heather, the gorgeous colour of the heather coming through now. Might be a couple of skylarks actually. Hogweed and wild carrot. The colours are also soft at the moment at this time of year. Also hear the pipit. The sea is quite busy. There seems to be lots of little craft beyond the lighthouse, and they come to look at the seals. Come over from St Ives on boat trips to look at the seals. There's usually people monitoring the boats to make sure they don't get too close to them, because seals are very vulnerable to injury when people get very close to them, or even a bit close to them. I think might be about 100 metres you should stay away from them, and at that point they're still very aware of you. If you get any closer they start showing signs of distress, and closer still they jump off the rocks and often hurt themselves. So it's really important that the boats keep the distance, which these ones are doing. It's not just boats though, it's people on paddle boards and kayaks. They don't think that they're going to be of any problem to the seals for some reason. They think that because they're on a quiet craft, on a kayak or a paddle board, that the seals won't mind them, but actually they're just as distressing for the seals. Humans generally are very distressing for the seals. So it's really important that we stay away from them, view them through binoculars at a distance. The wild carrot this year is truly amazing. This whole hillside is covered with wild carrot. Quite stunted here because of the winds coming off the water, but where they're in the shadow of in the lee of the wall, you can see that they're quite a lot taller. The water is so clear at the moment, very calm today. Crystal clear. There's some wonderful seaweed beds around this area. kelp forests, I think they are. My knowledge of seaweed isn't very good, so I won't go too much further into that. But I have snorkeled through them. It's over there on the rock. There's an oyster catcher. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see that. An oyster catcher and a cormorant. In the previous film I talked about the lichen, and it's still very present on these rocks. Able to get just a little bit closer to the lichen now. Hopefully you can see a little group of birds and then a single bird which is on a nest, and the single one is on eggs. There seems to be an adult and 3 juvenile birds next to it. As they start nesting early in the year, it's probably the second breed. But I'm not sure about that. You will notice that I'm not sure about most things. I tend to say things and think, oh, I need to go and look that up, which I suppose is okay. You can see how clear the water is and calm. You can hear herring gulls. A few years ago I was very lucky to be involved in a research project which looked at the way herring gulls feed. There's some conflict between humans and herring gulls in the towns around the coast of Cornwall because humans have taken over their habitat, and the study was looking at whether the birds preferred human anthropogenic food or whether they preferred seafood. I'll put a link to the article that was published in the Guardian about it. It's a very interesting research project, and it yielded some really interesting results, and actually proved that if given the choice, the gulls will always choose seafood, and that therefore it must be assumed that it's either ease of access to anthropogenic food or it's desperation that they come into the towns and eat. Most of the gulls that we rehabilitated, they were all orphans that had fallen off roofs and things, and most of them, when they were released, don't return to town. They're all tagged. They've all got big chunky tags on them, leg rings, so that with numbers, so that we can see where they went to and where they turn up, and most of them don't turn up in towns at all. There's a lovely group of cormorants down there. There seems to be a lot of cormorants around actually. Beyond, you can see a seal following the fishing vessel there as well. So it's just, oh yeah, just in its wake, in the wake of the boat. The seals do interact with humans on their own terms. They just don't like to be disturbed. They don't like humans approaching them, but they will occasionally approach humans. There's another lovely group of, sorry I didn't show you that. There's another lovely group of cormorants on that rock over there. This is the little cove where there are usually lots of seals hauled out on the sand that they're on at the moment. not sure whether the camera will pick up the vibrance of the heather. Stone chap just passing us and sitting on a little fence there. Off it goes again. I'm not keeping up with it. There it is. Yeah, I'm not sure whether you can see it. Two now. This area used to be open to the public, and fairly recently it got fenced off. In the last few years it got fenced off, and the difference is remarkable. And I think so much about conservation and biodiversity and improving biodiversity is just by stepping back, just taking people out of it. And as soon as we were prevented from walking on this bit, it's just become a haven for wildlife, birds and insects. And the only thing that was stopping this from growing previously was the heavy footfall. So the National Trust have now put in this lovely path and kept us off the rest of it. And it's made a remarkable difference. I've videoed here for more than half a year now. I don't think it's ever been quite this calm. This is the calmest it's ever been. The sea is beautiful and clear and flat. Maybe able to see a cormorant flying across the water there. This little rocky outcrop that intrigues me greatly, which I draw often. To the left of the rocky outcrop there's a variety of birds. Unfortunately there's a jet skier just arrived which will probably disturb them all. Unfortunately all the birds that were sitting quietly on the sea are scattering. You'll still be able to see the white mark on the cliffs there. All the guillemots have gone now. Their nesting season is over and they've returned to sea. There's quite a lot of juvenile herring gulls in the water here. Blackback gull there, flying around. It's lovely to be above them. And fulmar. Just pausing for a minute again, watching the birds circling beneath me. Again, there's quite a few juvenile herring gulls in the water and a lovely little gathering of cormorants over there on the rock. Lovely fulmar flying past. There are some fulmars chatting to each other over there.